I wanted to make a video on stretching for back pain, and then I'm going to make a separate video for exercises to help strengthen the back. I'm mainly focusing on the low back just because that tends to be a common area that tends to bother people. So there can be tons of different issues that are going on in the back, so the exercises won't necessarily be appropriate for everyone, but some of these stretches might help some of the muscle tension that you're experiencing in your low back and give you some relief. So common ones I do like to give clients are lying on your back and just simply pulling your knee into your chest. So you just want to give the knee a hug. Now, depending on how tight the front of our hip is on the straight leg, you might need to bend this leg. And then hopefully with time, as your flexibility increases, you can slowly work this leg out, because we want to be able to fully extend that leg while pulling this leg into the chest. And then there's a few variations that you're going to do while you're in this position. So you want to use your opposite hand and slightly draw your leg across. So my hip doesn't lift. I'm just drawing my leg across, and you're going to feel more of a stretch into your glute, not really your low back. But sometimes part of our low back pain is due to the fact that we're tight through our glutes and we're overusing them possibly. So you would hold this. I typically say 5 nice deep breaths. If you have a timer, 30 seconds. Then you're going to take your knee a little bit farther, let your hip lift, but keep your rib cage down. So we don't want to start lifting through the mid-back, and that's just going to take it a little bit higher as you pull the leg across. And again, you would hold it for the same amount of time, 5 nice deep breaths, or 30 seconds. And then, if you can, take it a little bit farther, but keep your shoulder down. So now we're working more into our mid-back, which we want to always work above and below the areas that are bothersome. And again, you're trying to breathe and relax into those muscles. And then you would repeat the same thing on the opposite side. So whether you're sore on one side, you still want to try and balance yourself out and do both sides. A common thing that also happens with low back is that we're actually quite tight in our hips due to all the sitting that we do, sitting at our desk, driving in our car. So opening up the front of the hips can make an impact on the low back. So bringing one foot forward, I want to keep this leg vertical. A lot of people, first thing they want to do is they want to lunge into that hip, mainly because that's the stretch that we've learned. While you're in this position, all you're going to do, you're going to tuck your pelvis a little bit. So you're tucking your tailbone under, and then you're going to squeeze your glute. And that's going to get more of your TFLD outside of your leg. Some of us will feel it in our quads if we're tight. And again, we're just going to hold for about 5 nice deep breaths, or 30 seconds. And what I like to do is, this is the first exercise that people get, because this might be a challenge balance-wise, depending on how tight we are. But also it might be a little bit uncomfortable because we're so tight. When people are ready to progress, we add in the arm. So we're just going to lift the arm up, and it increases the stretch that goes down that side. And again, we hold for the same amount of time. I do both stretches. Like I start with the hip, I hold it for 5 breaths, and then I add in the arm. And then there's one more progression that I like to do. I added a little bit of a side bend towards this side to again deepen that stretch and hold. And again for about 5 nice deep breaths or 30 seconds. And then again I would repeat it on the opposite side. After I've done that, then I do go into the hip flexor stretch. So I just lean a little bit forward. I still keep the glute on just to support the hip. And then it brings it more into the front of the thigh. For some people, they will feel it in their inner thigh. You hold. And then again, you would add on the arm progression. So you would take the arm up And then you would also add in the side bend when you're ready. Another nice little stretch for the low back is doing both knees on the floor, or both knees bent, lying on your back. Keep your shoulders down and let your knees fall to the side together. Now, I want to keep my shoulder down. My ribs can lift, my hip can lift, and again, I'm breathing into the side and just trying to relax into that stretch. I also do that stretch with the ribs down. So if I need my hands to assist me, I use my hands on my ribs to give me awareness and only let my hips move as far as I can keep my rib cage still, and it just brings it a little bit lower. And again, for this stretch, I do it about 5 reps, 30 seconds, and I would repeat on the opposite side. So those are the stretches that I typically start with when I'm giving people exercises to stretch out their low back. There's tons of other variations, and these might not necessarily work for you, but they're kind of the typical stretches that I begin with when I'm starting with